Cut my toxic parents off after they betrayed me for my golden child brother. But I just discovered my girlfriend has been secretly spying on me for them the whole time. So some backstory, I, 28M, recently quit my job in real estate to start working on my own business. It's always been a dream of mine to build something of my own, and I think that now is the right time to start working toward achieving it. So a couple of months back, I quit my job and I decided that I was going to put all my energy into this. I had enough savings set aside and I had my mind made up. About half a year ago I asked my parents to become investors in the company because I could really do with their help and expertise since my dad comes from a business family and still handles their car dealership business, along with his brother. My mom's their accountant and so, I believed that I could do it with their help. I had this discussion with them at a family dinner, where my younger brother was also present and I think that was my biggest mistake. He's 25 right now and has been working in sales for a couple of years but he's always been very ambitious. A couple of weeks later, he informed us that he was also looking to start a business of his own and he also wanted my parents to invest. I thought he was joking but he wasn't and he had even quit his job and put in his notice because he said that he was serious about this and that I had inspired him to take this on. I was kind of annoyed but I tried not to let it bother me. Because it wasn't as though his decision was going to affect me in any way and I was wrong about that, which I didn't find out about until later. At another dinner a couple of weeks after my brother's announcement, my parents told me that they would only be able to invest in one of us. And if they had to pick someone to bet on, then it would be my brother. Funnily enough, they told me that he also wanted to start working in the real estate business, like I was. Even though he had no knowledge about that field and had never expressed any interest in learning about it, prior to my announcement about wanting to start my own business. I was very upset when my parents told me that they wouldn't be investing in my business and would rather place their bets on my brother instead. I didn't say anything to them for a while and was just trying to process the bad news when my brother decided that he was going to try and console me, but it just turned out to be pretty condescending. He told me that I didn't need to worry and that if I wanted to, then I could join him. Even though it wouldn't be an equal partnership, he just wanted me to have something at the very least. I thought that was a horrible thing to say to me, especially at a moment when I was trying to come to terms with the fact that my parents favored my brother over me. I had always known that, deep down, but it just hurt to realize it all over again and to get to know that what I believed was true. After what my brother said, I lost my cool and got into a really nasty fight with him where I accused him of trying to steal my ideas because he had none of his own. I called him a copycat and told him to go get a personality that didn't revolve around me. I brought up a couple of incidents from the past when we were in school, where he would just constantly try to do everything that I did and try to beat me at my own game or whatever. But would consistently fail and I told him that that's what would happen to him this time as well, so he needed to be prepared for it. My brother also got mad and rightfully so, and told me that it wasn't his fault that our parents preferred him over me because it was very evident why they favored him since he was just better. It was kind of petty and immature and my parents tried to break it up by insisting that they loved both of us equally. But they just believed that my brother had more business acumen, as compared to me, and even suggested that I do join him. As if I actually would. My brother went to business school but I had experience in the real world, and I knew what I was doing. Because I had been a real estate agent, he didn't have any of the experience that I did and did not know what he was talking about. So I couldn't figure out why my parents would just assume that he would be better at this than me, without even giving me a chance. The only possible explanation was that they had a favorite and it was very obvious to me that they did but it was not me. My brother was the golden child and there was no running away from it anymore. But after that day, I decided that I was going to have no contact with my family because it was just very insulting to be treated that way, like I was an idiot up to no good. It's been 6 months and I haven't spoken to them. My parents tried to reach out to me a couple of times after I left that day but when I didn't reply, they stopped trying after a few weeks. I haven't really attended any family events in the past couple of months either and I have kept to myself, even during the holidays. Because I don't want to run into them anywhere since I know it'll just be really awkward for all of us. It's best to just avoid all of it. I just haven't been in touch with them in any capacity and I actually prefer it that way. However, about 2 weeks ago, I found out something that really shocked me. My longtime girlfriend, of almost 3 years now, and I was taking a trip for the weekend. It was supposed to be a short romantic getaway where I was going to propose to her. She decided to take a shower a couple of hours after we reached the place and while she was in there, I wanted to charge my phone but I couldn't find my own and figured that I had probably just left it at home. So I decided that I was going to use hers instead. Her phone was on charge so when I grabbed it, I noticed that she had received several texts from my dad, whose contact she had saved by name. It was unusual because I couldn't imagine any conversations that she would need to have with my parents, especially when I'd gone no contact with them. And even though we have a strict no snooping policy, I broke it for just that once and I am so glad that I did. I had to guess her password because she had changed it and I didn't know the correct one anymore but, thankfully, I figured it out on the second try. It was her sister's birthday and they're pretty close-knit. And then, I went through the texts and realized that they had been speaking terms for several months now. I realized that most of the things that she would send were pictures of my business plan, a list of investors, locations that I wanted to set up, and just several other business-related documents that were confidential and my girlfriend was aware of it. I usually work out of our living room and she had easy access to those documents, so I wasn't surprised that she had been able to get her hands on them. But I was shocked to my core that she was sending these things to the last people I would want. I knew for a fact that my father would 100% use this against me to help my brother get ahead of me. I also figured out why my girlfriend was selling me out because, after everything that she sent him, my dad would specify a certain amount of money and would inform her that it had been sent and she would confirm that she had received it. So she was selling me out quite in the literal sense of the phrase. And I was disgusted when I realized what was going on because she was actually spying on me for my parents, in exchange for money. And it wasn't just pictures of documents and paperwork that was integral to the business that I was setting up, but she would also tell him other things about me. Like who from the family I met with, what I told my relatives about them, and worst of all, she would even rat me out whenever I would talk badly about them or my brother, even to her. And she would get paid for all of it. For context, my girlfriend is a freelance writer. She used to have a stable job, but she quit and decided to strike out on her own a couple of months after we started dating because I had told her that I would support her until she was able to support herself. And that hadn't happened yet, so I was still covering rent for her as she lived with me. I couldn't understand why she needed the money so desperately that she was willing to sell me out and sabotage our relationship. I never asked her to contribute to any expenses and just wordlessly kept working and paying for everything, while she tried to save whatever little that she earned herself. And I had never made her feel bad about it. She didn't ever borrow money from me for her personal expenses, which was great. But that's just about how independent she was, and I would say that I had a huge role to play in her having a home and food to eat every day. I'm not even bragging about it, it's just a fact. So her going out of her way to screw me over for some extra cash was pretty much insane and straight out of a badly made film or something. I was extremely disturbed when I saw that, and within a split second, I made up my mind that I was going to leave that very instant. I hadn't unpacked any of my bags yet, so I grabbed all my stuff and made my way to the parking lot of the hotel as quickly as I could. And once everything was in the car, I started driving back home. I didn't stop for a break or check my phone until I had put considerable distance between me and the hotel, and finally, after almost 2 hours of driving, I stopped at a gas station because I was feeling nauseated and needed a can of soda. It was then that I finally checked my phone, and I had about 10 missed calls and way too many texts from my girlfriend. She was panicking about where I was and kept asking me if something was wrong and said that she was really worried. She even said that she didn't know what was wrong, but if I was going through something, then I needed to just come back and talk to her and we could sort it all out. So I guess that she hadn't realized that I knew about her spying on me for my parents. I didn't know what to say to her, so I decided to just stop everything, take a break, and think about everything for a while. I was horrified by the fact that my girlfriend of so many years had been spying on me for my parents, and I was feeling everything all at once: betrayed, hurt, angry, and sad. But then I got to thinking and decided that I was not going to let these people get the better of me and run away. I was going to make life hell for them. So I turned back around and started driving back towards the hotel because I had a plan in mind.